So we'll focus this morning on home-based business, and I would like to give the formal definition for a home-based business. It's a business whose primary office is in the owner's home. So the business can be any size or any type at all, as long as the office itself is located in a home. So you can have a business with activities outside of the home, but if your office is in your home, it's considered a home-based business. Now, 50% of all businesses in the country right now, well, according to the most recent statistics we have, 2015 from the SBA, shows that 50% of US businesses are considered home-based. So it's not unusual for people to, think about starting a business at home. It's something that's been around for a while. It's working out very well for people. So it says here 2 out of 3 companies of all sizes start from home. We had businesses like Apple Computer, Purex, Amazon, Google, and Walt Disney Company. These are all large companies that actually started from home. So like I said before, it's not unusual. A lot of businesses started out of a home, and we're going to explore what we need to do if we're interested in doing that. So the agenda for today, we'll look at business ideas and market research. We'll look at how to plan your business, how to get funding for the business, and actually the paperwork that's involved, registering your business, getting all your permits, your licenses. We're going to look also at marketing and sales and finding local support when you need it. So why work from home? It has its advantages and disadvantages, so we'll go through a few. It's got flexible hours. You can work whenever you want, right? You can work in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, when everyone is sleeping. The hours are flexible. There's no commute. You're right there from, working from home. You don't have to travel to get to your office at least. And there are certain tax advantages. So people find that attractive. They can deduct a certain portion of their expenses there. The IRS allows a prescribed rate for, an allowable square footage in your home using the simplified option. So there is a benefit there as well. I got to also add that there are no overhead costs, at least for renting or paying for a lease, and that so overhead costs can be minimal in that regard. Sorry about that. Okay, so people also like to work from home because they can arrange the schedule around your family's needs. Some people would like to watch their kids at the same time doing some work. They try to balance it out, can spend more time with family. So those are some of the advantages we have when we decide to work from home. But once again, it's not for everyone because it's got its disadvantages as well. Some people are used to working with others, going to the office every day, seeing people, interacting with them. So it might not be for you if you are the kind of person that want to be around people and interact, because it could be a bit isolating, right? You don't have that interaction there. Also increased family stress, because trying to balance home and business can be sort of stressful if not done right. You got to be able to separate your home life from your business life. Also, it requires discipline. You can't keep putting off, doing your work. And sometimes it requires long hours. You got to be disciplined as well. So those are some of the disadvantages. It's not for everyone, so you got to weigh it out and see if it's something you actually want to do. So there are some things to consider. Before you start a business, you got to ask, many, many questions. Don't just jump into it. Make sure you're ready and prepared for it. So as I said before, are you ready to work long hours, especially in the beginning? Because it takes a lot to get it off ground. Does your family support your decision to start a new business? Right? And you got to weigh it out how the business is going to affect both your personal and family life. Do you have any formal business training? Do you know what you want to do? Have you researched the market? Do you have the funding? So many, things to think about. Also, you have to make sure you're ready to make the necessary sacrifices. So it's not only time as a resource, but also finding the funds to do it. Now, before you get into it, you have to look at the feasibility of your business. Is there a need for my product or service? Right? You could have a great idea, but if there is no need or no one is ready to either hire you or buy your product, then it's of no point. So we first need to do some market research and make sure that there is a need for your product or service. So who needs it? So you got to look at your target market. Who needs your product and at what price? What is the market size? What is the competition? Is anyone else doing what you're doing? And also, what is your competitive advantage? Are you doing something others are not doing? Why would someone come to you to buy your product and not go to the other person? So there are a few things you have to consider. How will my business fit into the market? That's another great question as well. So we have to consider all these things before we get started. There are some other important things to look at for a home-based business. Zoning is one of them, right? So you have to make sure that the zoning ordinances that are in your area allows you to work or do that particular business from your home. So we have zoning and other restrictions. You have to comply with local zoning ordinances. Most ordinances have become modernized now, so they allow, most businesses to operate from home, but, certain businesses definitely are a no-no. If you're working on your computer, not making noise and just working quietly, most likely it's going to be okay to do that. But let's say if you have a construction company, you have people coming in there in the morning, gathering, making noise, like at 6 a.m. before they leave for work, that might be an issue. So you have to really check. Or let's say if you have a cleaning crew coming in early in the morning, the whole idea is trying to limit traffic coming in and out of your home. So there are certain businesses that you have to, you must check for every kind of business really to see if it's in compliance with the zoning ordinances. What commercial activities are allowed in my neighborhood? So we have to be mindful of our neighbors, right? Because they could create a problem. So the best way is really to get along with whoever your neighbor could be and make sure that you're not creating any kind of inconvenience for them. So you have to also consider how flexibly you can operate your business, and then also think about the permits and fire codes that may be required. So there may be limitations on how many people you can actually employ, and the town or the village in which you are may not want you to have any prominent signs because it's a residential area. So you need to look at all these things. If the business you're operating requires handicap parking, then that's almost impossible to do. And then if you're renting, you got to make sure your landlord is in favor of this, he's aware of it. Or if you have the homeowners association, make sure that is in accordance with their CCRs. The biggest concern really is noise and traffic. So these are some of the things that you want to sort of make sure you are taking care of. You are looking at this, making sure that it's all in order, because you don't want to just get a cease and desist notice and have your business shut down. You got to make sure all your paperwork is in order. So we will start with writing your business plan. If you have an idea and you have actually decided that this is what I want to do. And the best way from what I've read and from what I've seen is people do well when they are doing something they like to do. They follow their passion or their skill. So, for example, if you are, someone who likes to do arts and crafts, you like to sew, maybe you want to look at creating quilts or whatever that's in your interest. So you have your passion, your skill, you turn it into a business. But some people also adapt very easily. You go through the list of business ideas, pick out what you want to do. But before you get started, you need to sort of consider looking at a business plan, writing your business plan. And what do we mean by that? So for a business plan, it's like trying to answer many questions: who, when, why, what, right? So who are we trying to target? Why are we doing this business? What are we trying to sell out there? Is this something that is needed? Sorry, my mouse is very sensitive here. Okay, so the business plan really would start with a business description. You describe your business, what you're doing, so people really understand what you're offering. You talk about your products and services. So if it's a retail product, describe the product, why you think people would benefit from using their product. Are there any specific advantages to it and things like that? The biggest portion really would be the market plan. So the market plan will talk about the market in general, who your target market is. And you also want to talk about the competition, the market size, the market trends, and all that. And like I said before, what do you have that is, advantageous to the people? Why should they buy your product? So that becomes very important. You do a market research, understand the market, and have a marketing strategy as well. How am I going to roll out the product, right? How am I going to advertise the product that I am trying to sell or the service that I'm offering? So you have to look at all that, and then also look at the management of the business and the operations. Think about your business model. How am I going to generate revenues? Are you going to operate a certain way? Are you going to need salespeople? Are you going to use a website? You have to think of all the ways in which you are going to get the product from you to the consumer. So that is all taken care of in the business plan. A very key area also is financial analysis. So financial analysis and projections really will cover forecasting of your business finances. So the three main financial statements we'll be looking at would be your cash flow statement, how much money is coming in, how much money is going out. We'll be looking at your profit and loss statement, which will really be what your net profit is going to be at the end of the first month, second month, third month, and so forth. So you have to make sure you're able to forecast and see if this business is going to have any net income at all, if it's going to be profitable. And of course, the last would be the balance sheet as well, trying to figure out your assets and your liabilities. So these are some of the things that we would need to cover in our business plan. It's really a roadmap for you. How are you going to achieve what you have set yourself up to do? What are your goals? What are your milestones? When are you going to be able to reach your goal, and how you're going to get there? It also can be used as a financing proposal to a bank, for example. So if you need funding, the lender or the investor would want to see your business plan. They want to see your projections, what the business, is about, and how the business intends to generate some income, right? And if the income would be enough to pay back the loan you are asking for. Or it could just be a management tool for you. So you use it as a guide for your business. You figure out if you're operating within your business plan, and you can make changes to the plan as you go along. So it's a living document, sort of. So these are some of the things I mentioned earlier on regarding the financial statements, right? But most importantly, you have to find out about funding. How much money will you need? Okay, so normally say startup costs include 6 to 12 months of operating capital. So you need to make sure you have enough funds, because sometimes you provide a service, you don't get paid right away, right? So they're giving 30 days, 60 days, whatever terms you agree with your client. So you have to consider having enough cash or buffer, so that if you're waiting for, the client to pay you, you're waiting for money to come in, you're not strapped for cash, so you can't pay your bills. Because a lot of businesses are having cash flow problems. It is one of the main reasons why businesses fold, because of cash flow issues. So we really need to make sure we understand our financial statements and know how to analyze it, know how much capital we need, and make sure that we don't run into any kind of cash flow problems. Another good thing to do would also be doing a break-even analysis for the business, meaning when do I actually start making money? Because sometimes you start a business and you're not going to make money for a while. It's very common. You have to find out at what point in time do I actually make profit. So, for example, if you're selling shoes, right? How many shoes do I need to sell to be able to, pay my bills and actually have a profit? Is it 10 shoes? Is it 20 pairs? How many do I need to sell? So you have to do a break-even analysis of your business. Find out what your break-even point is. After what point do I actually realize profits? That would be a good way to mitigate your expectations and see if this is something you want to do. Are you ready to wait, or do you just think you're going to make profit right away? And for most businesses, it doesn't happen that way. So you have to make sure you have enough startup costs as well as money saved up for your operations. Okay, so another thing is how do we get funding for our businesses? So there are so many financing options depending on the business, the type of business, how much you have on you. So we have a listing here of some of the options. And I have to mention, if it's a startup business, it might not be that easy. You really have to have certain things in place first. So once you determine what your startup costs are going to be, you have to find out how much you are willing to invest or have to invest, and what the outstanding amount is, and where you're going to get that funding from. So we have SBA guaranteed loans. So these are loans that the SBA doesn't give out the loan per se. It guarantees the lender to give you the funding that you need for your business. So if you go to a bank for money, they would, if it's a startup, most likely pass it through the SBA, unless you have, I'm not an underwriter, so I'm not going to speculate, but you would be required to have decent credit, definitely. And they're going to have to look at a few, personal information from you as well as your own, assets, your own liabilities that you have, and then they figure out how much they are willing to give to you. You'll be required to give some form of collateral, most likely, or personal guarantee, depending on the amount that you're looking for. So those are some of the things you have to consider. So we have SBA guaranteed loans. So SBA would guarantee a good portion of the loan. So if you're looking for 100,000, for example, they might say we'll cover 75, we'll cover 80%, we'll guarantee, right? So the bank is giving you the money, but the guarantee would come from the SBA. But not to say you would not be required to give personal guarantee. You would be required to give personal guarantee or collateral, because they got to make sure you are accountable first, right? So that is another way to sort of seek funding. We have bank loans as well. So bank loans have loans just strictly between you and the bank. And we have non-bank lenders as well. And we have business lines of credit. We have business credit cards. So the kind of funding that you will be looking for, there are certain programs that would be suitable for certain activities. So you look for a bank loan to, say, purchase equipment or some big item. If you want a line of credit, that probably would be used for short-term expenses, or if there are any gaps in your financing, like you need to pay for payroll, or you need to get that inventory, but you run out of money, then you would use your line of credit. And when it becomes, when you receive the money that you were hoping to get, you pay off that line of credit. So it's something that you would use for short-term use, and then the bank loan would be for some major item or major startup costs that you have. So access to capital, we have microloans, we have peer-to-peer lending, we have equipment financing, we have many, many financing options, but they're suitable for certain users. And then we also have bootstrapping. That's the first thing, really, bootstrapping, self-funding your own business. So we have sweat equity as well, trying to do what you can, trying to put everything you have into the business to get started. So that's also another way of looking for capital to start your business. Now, like I said before, credit rating is very, very important. There is no magic number, but if your credit is not good, it's going to be really hard to get funding. So we know it starts from low, from 300 to as high as 850. And we see this diagram here, somewhere in the 700s, high 600, most likely, right? Anything less than that might be difficult. But like I said, there are many other factors also that come into play when you are accessing capital. But certainly the the business credit, your personal credit plays a big role here. So the condition of your business and personal credit is important. But if it's a startup, then it's just your personal credit you're looking at because you don't have any history with the business. So we have to pay attention to that when we're trying to access capital. It says here it reflects your ability to repay your debt. So if your credit score is low, obviously you're thinking it may be a problem for you. You don't handle money well, or whatever the reason could be, but they would find you a risky borrower. So credit scores can range from 300 to a high 850. We're trying to make sure that we're getting closer to a higher score if we need funding from the bank. So these are some things to consider. So why do you want to borrow? Don't just borrow because you think you need money. You should know the specifics. The bank wants to know exactly what you're going to use the money for, right? I'm going to use $1,000 to purchase a computer. I'm going to use $500 to buy supplies. They really want to see estimates of everything that you're saying you want to use the money for. So you need to know the specifics, why you want to borrow and how much you want to borrow. And what we also have to think about the cost of borrowing, right? So sometimes, you know, you could get funding, but it's at what cost? What is the interest rate? You could get funding from a, you know, not so favorable source. So we need to really do, you know, weigh out the pros and cons and make sure that the money we are borrowing is coming at a good interest rate. So we are not paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars in interest rates. So if it's a matter of your credit score, maybe you take your time, work on your credit, make sure you could get funding at a good rate. Also, we have to know that there will be fees to originate and process your loan, right? So and then also repayment terms. You have to make sure if it's favorable to you or not. So that's a good reason to do a business plan, because when you do a business plan, you will try and forecast the debt service. Am I going to be able to afford the loan and at what interest rate? So these are some of the things you work out in your projections and make sure you're comfortable with the amount of money you're borrowing. So can the business afford the loan? We have to estimate a monthly loan payments, make sure we're comfortable with that. So these are some of the things that we want to look at when we are trying to borrow money for our home-based business. And lastly, what documents do I need for my loan request? So if it's an existing business, obviously they want to see the business tax returns, right? Even if it's for a year or for however long you have had the business for. But if this is a startup, it's a home-based business, it's something you're just beginning to do, then definitely they want to see your personal tax returns 2 to 3 years, most likely. So they want to see if you do file taxes, and you have to prove that with your personal tax returns. If the business has any existing debts, they want to know that. Like I said before, you could use your business plan as a financing proposal. So that would be required if it's a startup, especially, or if it's a new business, anywhere business less than 2 years old, most likely they might ask for that. There are certain programs that also just deal with the credit score. So it depends. But a business plan for a startup most likely is going to be required. Financial statements that will be created as well in the financial analysis section of the business plan. That's going to be critical. If you have, well, it's a home-based business, so we're not going to worry about the lease because we'll be working from our home. And then if you have incorporation paperwork or anything that suggests that the business is registered, that might also be required. And as I mentioned before, the proof of collateral, as well as business licenses and permits. So these are some of the documents that you may need for a loan application. So now that you have figured out what you want to do, completed your market research, completed your business plan, now you're ready to launch your business, right? You got the capital that you believe, well, at least you know how you're going to get funding for the business. So you register your business. These are some of the various business forms that we have. We have a sole proprietorship. It's just going to the Riverhead County Clerk's office to get a DBA, getting a business certificate. That is easy to do. You go there with your business name and your ID, and to make sure that no one else has that name. They issue you a business certificate. It's not costly. I'm not quite sure what the rate is right now, but the last time I checked, it was about $35 or so. So that is an easy way to register your business. But then it has its own advantages and disadvantages as well. You can form it quickly. It's not expensive to form. You are in charge. You could do whatever you want. But then at the same time, the liabilities associated with this form of business structure is unlimited. So there's no separation between you as a person, your personal assets, and the business. So you and the business are one and the same, and that has a high risk there, because should there be a problem with the business, then your personal assets also can come into the equation. So people try to sort of separate themselves from their business so the business can stand on its own as a separate entity. Partnership is the same as well if you want to do it at the county clerk's office, except it's more than one owner. So sole proprietorship is one owner. Obviously, partnership is more than one owner. You may want to think of getting someone to join you in business. So you go and you register as partnership. But once again, if it's done at the county level, like I said, you have that unlimited liability. Although there are certain forms of partnerships that are a bit more complicated, where some owners have limited liability, others have unlimited liability. But for the purpose of this, we're just talking about a simple partnership where it's all unlimited liability, just as a sole proprietor. Right, so it's either you're registering locally or you want to register with the state. You register as a corporation or as a limited liability company, and that gives you better protection. That limits your liabilities, so the business is on its own. We have differences between the two, but we're not going to get into that. We just want to say that these are the two options as well to register your business if you want to separate yourself from the business and maintain that sort of distance where your personal assets, like your home or your car or your bank accounts, are personally are separated rather from the business. So these are the forms of business structures that we have that we could decide after looking at the advantages and disadvantages. You could decide on what's best for your business. Okay, so you register your business, and then depending on the activity that you are going to be providing or the product, it may require additional permits and licenses. So we have to make sure we do all our research. There is a business a website, businessexpress.ny.gov, where you could go and actually create a checklist of what the requirements may be for New York, for example. So you find out what would be needed. Are there any additional professional and trade license that you need? Or let's say sales tax authorization. I mean, certain products definitely require you, the retailer, to collect sales tax. So before you do that, you have to make sure you do have that authorization from the state. So depending on what you're providing, there might be some health and safety permits as well. So you want to, provide services, or you want to say provide food products or whatever. You make sure that you are in compliance with the county's health regulations or the New York State health requirements, rather, that are needed for you to do that particular business. Also, we got to look at signs, construction permits. So there's so many things that we need to look at. Home improvement, for example, is one thing that we get quite a lot. So people want to do landscaping or want to do things around someone's home. You have to make sure you do have your business registered, but there would also be maybe a requirement for a home improvement license, depending on what you're doing, what your background is, what your experience is. So there are many things we have to look at when we want to start a home-based business. Remember, a home-based business is a business that has its primary office in the home. So certain businesses, of course, you can't do landscaping from your home. You have to go out and do that. It can be considered a home-based business if your office is in the home. So, or say an engineering service or anything that requires you to be out. It's still a home-based business if your primary office is in the home. But you have to make sure the whole idea is that it's a residence, right? It's not just a house where you're doing all your business, you don't even live there and all that. The primary function is that it's a home, but you do have an office in there. Then it's a home-based business. Okay, so you register your business, get all your permits and whatnot. It's important to then also open a business bank account, right? So for record keeping purposes, so you are able to separate your personal finances from your business finances. You're going to be making deposits and all that. You want to be able to have good record keeping. And then you get an accounting software. There's so many of them, QuickBooks or Quicken, or there's so many that you could get, and make sure you link it with your business bank account so you can keep track, right? And do bank reconciliation as well. And then you have to consider insurance, general liability insurance, professional liability. So if you're a tax preparer or you're an accountant or you're giving financial advisement to someone, make sure you have professional liability for errors and omissions that could possibly occur, right? So you have coverage on that. There's property as well, fire, and there's also accident and theft. These are some of the insurance that you may want to consider. You got to speak with your broker or insurance company and make sure they can work something for you. If you own the home, maybe it might just be as simple as adding a rider to your policy for the business. But it's something to consider, definitely. So after you've gotten all your paperwork in order, you then want to set yourself up for success. Always advisable to find a space in your home, right? Even if it's just a table, but it can't just be everything everywhere. Dedicate some kind of space in your home for the business. You have a desk, a chair, filing cabinet, as though you were actually in an office, except it's a home. If you can do it outside the home, say in your basement, in your garage, or whatever works for you, but it should be some kind of dedicated space in your home for the business. And especially now, more than ever, we know how important it is to have a computer, to have internet speed, because everything is being done virtually. We're here today having a virtual meeting. So that's how important it has become. Make sure you get connected and have all the, the equipment that you need. Definitely a phone, a separate phone, if you may, from your home phone or from your cell phone. So when it rings, you can answer professionally, right? Get all the software you need. Definitely maintain accounting and record keeping systems. And the last two, which we will talk more about as we get towards the end, setting up your website and also engaging social media and your marketing efforts. So here we are, we have everything set up now. Now we know that we have to market, right? We have to market our business. So there are so many ways to do it. Right now, we're going to focus here on e-commerce if possible. If possible, you should offer that because there's been a big increase in online shopping since the start of the pandemic. The numbers are really skyrocketing, and that would be a good business model in addition to which other ways you want to sell your products. Also consider alternative payment options. So now we know we have contactless credit and debit cards, there's mobile pay. So offer a lot of options so people can easily just purchase from you. So we'll focus now on digital marketing. It's very important. There is, in today's time, if you don't have an online presence, it's like you don't even exist, right? So it says online shopping is one of the most popular online activities worldwide, not just in this country. Worldwide, it's become so huge. And we have information that I received from the IBM US Retail Index. It says COVID-19 pandemic has expedited the shift away from physical orders to digital shopping by about 5 years. So in just 1 year, we have moved way ahead. We've traveled about 5 years in time to where we would have gotten. But because of the pandemic, we're ahead. It says about 20% was projected. An increase of 20% was projected in 2020, and it's even going to keep going. So having a digital marketing presence has become actually necessary, right? And when you engage in that, you have to make sure that you create a seamless experience for your customer. Your product should be easily found. You should, make sure that there are no hiccups. They can easily purchase because there's so much competition. They come, they don't like what they see, they're not coming back. So you make sure that you're offering everything that you could possibly offer in terms of making your website friendly, mobile friendly. A lot of people purchase things from their phone as well. So you have to keep that in mind as well. It will definitely increase your sales. People are shopping 24/7, right? You could be asleep and someone could be on your website trying to shop. So it is a good way to sort of increase your sales as well as draw in new customers and even new clients coming in. So there are many ways to do that. If you want to do e-commerce, the first option obviously would be to create your own website and sell your own products on your website, right? So that involves quite a bit. You have to first design your website, right? So if you're not good at it, you may have to engage a web developer to do this for you. And then also set up a domain name. And these are some of the companies like GoDaddy, Bluehost. You go through them for a domain name if it's available for you. And you engage a website developer, or if you're good at it, you could use a web building platform. So we have WordPress, we have Wix, Weebly, GoDaddy. There's so many of them, depending on what you're doing, depending on how comfortable you are or how experienced you are. You could pick a platform and do that, or engage someone. So you got to think about the funding that would be required to set up a good website. And because everybody's online now, definitely the checkout has to be secured, right? Offer very high levels of security. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. You want to make sure you take care of that. Cybersecurity now, it's a big topic, and we try to keep all that information safe and secured. So you get your website up and running, and definitely you would need to outsource IT for troubleshooting or for updating, because something is going to go wrong, something is going to happen. You don't want people going on the website and the computer crashed, they can't get on, they can't buy. So make sure you do engage a webmaster who is good at this, so that they can monitor, they can maintain the website for you. And of course, last but not least, we have online credit card processing. So it's either you're engaging a merchant bank, there's so many ways to do it, but we just want to say this is another area to look at and offer that experience for your clients. Okay, so another option, if you don't have all that money, what happens? You can create a website, it's going to cost a lot. You're not quite there yet. There are other ways to do it too. You could just use social media platforms. There's Facebook, there's Instagram. You just have a simple store for now and use social media platforms. Or another option really would be to use a marketplace. So a lot of people sell right on Amazon. So you're using that platform to sell. You don't need to create your own site or anything, but you're going to have to pay a fee somehow, management fee. They will sell for you, they'll collect the money for you, and then they send everything to you. Yours is just to pay a fee, right? So there is Amazon, there is eBay, there is Etsy, Wix, all these platforms, even Walmart, where they have provision for a marketplace. So you list your product. There's no need to have your own website, but then of course there is a fee to pay. So these are some of the options you can use. The advantages and disadvantages obviously associated with these things. For the first option, if you have your own website, you're your own master, you can design it whichever way you want, you have more options. But at the same time, you got to keep up with it. It's not quite, cheap. You have to make sure it's done right. If you use the marketplace for a fee, you can have all that, but once again, you may not have that many options of designing or doing whatever you want. You got to go by their rules as well. Okay, so another thing we have to think about is marketing. How do we improve our online presence, right? Because you can be online, but what if nobody even finds you? So you have to work on making sure that you get that exposure that you need. So you maximize your exposure. There's so many ways to do it. I know the most common way people use the search engine optimization technique, right, to rank highly on web searches. So if you want to be up there on page 1, you may have to engage in certain online tools, right, to advertise so that you are able to come up and when people do searches and people find you easily, because if they don't find you, they are not buying from you and you're just there paying monthly fees. Nothing is moving. So in addition to just having that online presence, definitely have to maximize your exposure so that you know that when prospective customers are searching, your business will come up there in the first few pages. Not many people go to the second or third or fourth page. They're just looking at what they see right away when they do that search. Also, marketing, I say small businesses can post videos of satisfied customers on YouTube. You tag them with searchable keywords and you link the businesses back to your business website. So you link the videos rather to your business website. So there are many ways to do this. Social media marketing using all kinds of methods. I know YouTube is one big way that people do. They like to post link videos. You post company events, new product lines, special offers and promotions on Facebook or any other network. So we have them all listed here. Twitter, we have Facebook, Instagram, Google+, Pinterest, YouTube, so many avenues. We actually do have a wonderful SBDC publication, right, Leslie? Social media marketing, right? It's got very useful information as to how to market your business on social media. So it's good to market, but we need to also know what our goals are, right? So common goals are to increase email subscribers, grow your market share, and increase sales by a percentage. So you do have a goal, you have it written down in your business plan. How are you going to get to that goal? And how are you going to, meet that goal? Definitely people like email subscribers. That's huge. That's a good way to actually grow your market share. So you have a marketing action plan online. There's so many ways. You got to figure out how many of these are we going to use. Online advertising, newspaper ads, radio ads, TV ads, direct mail, email list. Email marketing is huge. Don't think it's a thing of the past. It's still very effective if done well. Or you could host an event. There's word of mouth, there's social media. You find out which plan you think will work best for you and embark on that. So these are some of the ways in which you could do that. Okay, so we're done. We figured out our marketing, but we still have to manage the business. So some things that we need to be aware of, right? Accounting and bookkeeping, very, very important, right? If you're not good at it, you should get help. You could get a bookkeeper, get an accountant, right? They will track your invoices. They will track your time for you, information storage, do bank reconciliation. There's so many things. You got to keep your records well. So come tax time, you have everything in order. You're tracking it on a spreadsheet, you're tracking it on a software. Somehow you should get that taken care of. Also, you manage using merchant services because everything is being done online. Now, very few people are using cash, right? So it's credit card or mobile pay or whatever. So make sure you have a good merchant bank. They're providing these services for you. And then you have to also research and see who is providing the best and at what cost for you. Outsourcing fulfillment services. If you are, say, in retail and you're working from home, you don't have the space to bring all these things to your home. You can have a fulfillment service. We have Amazon, right? They provide fulfillment services. They just get the supplier actually could just ship the items for you. There's so many arrangements you could make for that. So you can outsource fulfillment services where the product doesn't have to come to you for you to actually do the packaging. It's done right out there. You just get the order, you send it to the supplier or whoever is providing that fulfillment service for you, and they ship it out. And of course, without video conferencing, it's really going to be hard. You want to be able to get in touch with your clients or with your customers if you're providing either a service or, products. You want to be able to reach out to people, see them, talk to them. Video conferencing has become now a staple, right? Everybody is engaged somehow in virtual meetings or virtual learning or something, right? So if you're tutoring, for example, there's so much going on right now online with tutoring. You'll definitely need good video conferencing equipment and tools. So these are some of the virtual services that were highlighted by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. There's a high demand for these services, mainly because of the situation in which we are with the pandemic. So technology has become really big, cybersecurity, or even gaming, because people are home spending a lot of time on their computers. Gaming also has become one of these big things in demand. Virtual health, telemedicine is becoming popular. There's fitness, mainly at fitness home, where people just do this from home, workouts from home. Food delivery is another area, and home improvement as well. So these are some of the businesses that seem to be in high demand since last year. So we are about to wrap up our presentation here. So once you have everything sorted out, now you're ready to open your virtual doors. But let's not forget, an entrepreneur is someone who willingly works 20 hours a day just so they don't have to work 8 hours a day for someone else. So that is how much time you're going to need. 2-3 times you're going to have to work as hard just so you can survive and be an entrepreneur. But the rewards are greater, far greater. So definitely it's something to think about. So this concludes my presentation that we have. If you are in need of help, don't just not seek help. Go out there. We have the SBDCs. We are around here in Stony Brook. There are many other SBDCs, depending on where you are. Go and seek help. They provide counseling. They provide all sort of assistance for you, for your small business. We have SCORE. We also have the veterans. There's a special center for them, the Veterans Business Outreach Center. There's the Women's Business Center. So what we're saying is there's a lot of help out there. If you want to start a small business, definitely consult and consult somebody or even a mentor to make sure that you are on the right track. So I'd like to thank you for joining us today. If you need help, please reach out to us. We provide free help. It's confidential. And that is our number right there at the bottom. So good luck and thank you once again.